Hey, hello, Sacred Friends. Welcome back. Welcome to this episode of the Luminary Life Podcast. I'm Lori Andrus, your host, and I am delighted to be connecting with you today. We are going to sink into a little bit of conversation around the energy and some of the messages that are coming forward around these eclipses. We're in the middle of an eclipse window. We had a solar eclipse on the 17th, as we also marked the Lunar New Year. We welcomed the fire horse. We had our wonderful new moon energy. What a great day. And now we are kind of right in between the next eclipse, which is actually going to be a total lunar eclipse on Tuesday, March 3rd. And for those of you in the US, and in particular in the Western US, we actually have an opportunity to catch a glimpse of this eclipse. Here in Wisconsin, we should expect the total eclipse to peak at 5:33 a.m. So that's Central Standard Time. I will definitely be up at that time. And I'm really excited to step outside and connect with that. You know, one of the things to note is that that's early in the morning, so the moon will be low in the horizon. So make sure you're elevated enough to catch a glimpse of the moon. Um, should you have clear skies, fingers crossed that we will. But I'm really excited about this. I think there's something really beautiful and potent around the energy of eclipses. And I've been noticing myself in a place of deep reflection this past week, thinking about a couple different things. A couple things have been getting my attention. One is that my recall of the 2017 total solar eclipse that happened, and the trip that Chris and I took to be present for it and experience it down to Southern Illinois, that came into my thoughts this week. And I was thinking about it and I kind of got a little chuckle because I had just brought that into an episode recently. And I was like, wow, this is really in my awareness. And so I started to get curious about why that particular eclipse was so in my awareness, beyond the fact that it was really beautiful. It was a potent experience. It was wonderful to be outside experiencing it with a really big group of people. And also the day that Chris and I had together was really beautiful. It was quite the adventure. That'll be a story for another day. But I was wondering why that one was really calling or getting my attention. And one of the things that, as I was thinking about it, that also popped in was that 2017 was in numerology a 1 year, just as this year is. 2026, also a 1 year in numerology. And so I started to think about some of the things that unfolded in my life during that year. I was getting curious about how did I experience that 1 year? I did a lot. I took that whole idea of 1 years being years of new beginnings very seriously. Very seriously. I dove in. I traveled. I began new programs. I brainstormed tons of different ideas. I launched some new pieces within brand new collections within Journey Jewels. I mean, there was my list was extensive. And as I looked at the list, I thought to myself, whoa, whoa. Just whoa. And I could feel how much fun I had that year, but I could also feel how it just had me in this really fast momentum. Like my energy was just really moving at a very fast pace. And as I tuned into that and where I am now at this stage in my life, this time in my life, I could feel that didn't resonate as a reflection of how I want to move through this year, through this 1 year. It made me really curious. And I think this is where part of our conversation is going to go today. We're going to sink into a little bit of conversation around the stages of our lives. And, really what I'm looking at right now for my own life is that I'm going to turn 50 this year. I am looking at this next chapter of my life, like the next 50 years, we'll say, into my life, and considering what I want that to look like and what type of pace I want to move at and how I want my foundation to look and be lived differently than the foundation that I was creating back in 2017 and most definitely back in 2008 when we had our previous 1 year. So I want to invite you, wherever you're at, for me, I'm looking at this from a midlife perspective and looking at what type of energy I want to bring forward and what my nervous system is really calling for at this stage in my life versus where I had energy in previous stages, and how I think there's an opportunity within this window, this eclipse window, for us to really consider what seeds we are planting. So I want to invite you to just get comfortable. We're going to lean into some conversation. If you have a piece of clear quartz, go and grab that. Clear quartz is our ally for 2026. It is also a wonderful ally for planting seeds of intention, focusing in on what we're truly desiring to experience in our lives and setting an intention for that, letting ourselves focus the energy and bring that forward. So go grab a crystal, come on back, and maybe grab a cup of tea or something that lets you just feel really soothed and supported. And let's sink a little further into conversation. All right. So as I sink in and really thought about what this episode is about, and what I'm noticing is that it's really about making a shift from having scattered starts and new beginnings to having a really deeply grounded approach to our lives, creating a solid foundation. Now, the thing about 1 years is that they are about new beginnings. They are also about foundation, creating a foundation that is going to support you in the coming years. Now, I got a huge chuckle because I'm really great at new beginnings. I am really great at getting creative, starting something new, diving deep in. But a lot of small starts, a lot of new beginnings, while they're really fun and exciting, they don't necessarily create the type of foundation that supports us in the long term, that really holds a stable container for what it is we're wanting to experience in our lives. And I think, we all at different times in our life, we feel this differently. We look at it differently. But I think this new moon window that we're moving through as we're experiencing this solar eclipse and lunar eclipse, we are in a place to really be reflective on how do we want to experience our life differently. What brings value, meaning, joy from a really deep and pure place? Is it aligned? And then letting ourselves really point our inner compass in that direction. Now, one of the things that really came forward for me around this new moon was around cultivating a sense of trust in our own enoughness. And, for me, one of the things that this looked like was taking a survey of all the things that I've done, I've created that have been birthed energetically through my creative flow, my creative vision and ideas. As I sank into that, I saw programs, I saw jewelry, I saw the Stone Speak Oracle deck, I saw photographs and things that I've visioned and brought into life. I saw classes and trainings, and I saw the sanctuary. And as I sat with everything, I just let myself feel it and receive it for myself. I think one of the challenges that creative souls, and I'm guessing that you being here you're also a highly creative individual, whether or not you see yourself as that, there are so many ways that we create and allow creative expression to flow through. I think sometimes we just take it for granted. Like it shows up really with ease. We create, we let it out, and we move on. And I think that's one of the things that I have done a lot of. I get excited, I ride the creative wave, and then I move into the next chapter. Get excited, create, ride the wave, move into the next chapter. And there's a lull, there's a pause after that. There's a wave of emotion that moves through with it, and then into the next space. But there's always this other story that kind of rides underneath it, like this feeling of, oh, that just wasn't enough. What I've created wasn't enough. Who I am, what I'm doing isn't enough. And I think this is a common theme for creators, for individuals in the world right now, this feeling of, how can we trust ourselves when we haven't felt like we've done enough? We need to do more. We want to do more. And the want and the need and like haven't and can't and all the emotions around enough. Let yourself just kind of pause and think about that for a moment. Think about the ways that you place the word not in front of enough. When you think about yourself, what you do, who you are, all of life, all of your life, where do you find that not enough? This this window of time is inviting us to look at those places with love and with compassion and to really receive all that we have done, because it is far more immense than we have even given ourselves an ounce of credit for. Letting ourselves really begin to receive that enoughness and to trust it, to trust that who we are, what we do, what we have done, what we create, how we be is enough. And to stand in it solidly, courageously, to own our enoughness. So to cultivate trust in our own enoughness is really about honoring our past work. It's about recognizing our skills, our relationships, the structures that we already have in place. And it's about letting ourselves have a new beginning, to let that emerge from what's already here. To not feel like it needs to be completely new, but to let the new beginning be built upon what is already here. So you may want to consider, what if I'm acting like I'm starting from nothing, from the point of zero, when actually I'm standing on a depth of experience? Or what if my new beginning is about reorganizing what I've already created so that it can better support me? Let yourself sink into some of those reflections. Like, think about it. What if you reorganized what is already here to really serve you, to support you? What if, you're not starting from ground zero? What if this new beginning year is already being built upon a foundation that you have laid? What if this 1 year is about stabilizing everything? Okay, the next piece that showed up was about reorienting to the wisdom of our nervous system. And letting ourselves really tune in and make decisions that honor our energy, that honor what our nervous system needs to be in balance and stabilized and in a flow that is supportive for what we want to create, for how we're living life. Are we giving ourselves time and space to slow down in between creative projects, to energetically reset? There are definitely times where we have creative bursts and we want to ride that wave. But then it's important that we let ourselves have space to slow down, to be present, and to come back into a centered, grounded space, to let our nervous system adjust to all of the energy that has flowed through. So, one of the ways that I've really been noticing this within myself is that when I came home from Tucson, my mind wanted to really dive into creating a whole bunch of new jewelry and wanted to really charge forward with a whole list of next activities. But my body knew on a really deep level that the experience in Tucson really needed space to integrate. I needed space to slow down. I needed to pause. And I gave myself a really good, solid week and a little bit of overflow into the following week to really rest, to be present, to sleep in the morning, to go to bed early, to nurture my body a little bit more, spending extra time outside. The weather was really supportive for that one too. And then when my body felt ready, I started to little by little dive into creating jewelry. And I'm wearing a new piece today. I'm very excited about this one. Little amethyst slab here. Um, but little by little diving back in. And rather than feeling like I needed to flood myself with just a ton of creation, I've been letting myself be really present and mindful about what and how much I am creating. It's a very different energy. And I think what we're being called to as we're moving not only through this eclipse window, but actually into the time that is really opening and the way I think humanity is evolving and shifting and this next chapter in our world, I think we're being called into a place of being sensitive to our nervous system and letting ourselves honor it in all of the ways that we are living, to really choose ourselves. And that is something that our crystal ally for the month of February has invited us to do. Stellar Beam Calcite. Its central message is boldly choose you. To let yourself just step back, lean in, and listen to yourself, to honor the creative insights and wisdom that wants to flow through, to let yourself choose that, to choose you. This is a really beautiful shift that's unfolding in the collective. And I know that often when we hear this idea of choosing ourselves, there's a narrative and a story that comes up, whether it's personal or collective, whether it's something we've experienced with family members or loved ones around feeling selfish, around feeling rude, disrespectful, dishonoring. We've got lots of them, right? With regards to choosing self. But one of the things that I really believe is going to happen is that this process of choosing self allows us to open and be present with others in a much more intimate, connected way than is possible when we have been living in this way of, oh, choosing others from the place of expectation, from the place of burden, from the place of responsibility. And I think when we are fully nourished, fully present, fully honoring of our nervous system, we can be really present with others in ways that we can't even imagine. And that to me is very exciting. So I want to invite you to begin to let yourself pause, check in with your nervous system. How can you support your body? How can you support your energy? How can you slow down and reconnect with the earth and connect with a rhythm that will support you in bringing your creative vision and ideas forward in your life. Okay, one of the next pieces that I want to talk about a little bit is the idea of how eclipses illuminate patterns and they let us see what is complete so that we can begin to shift into a new way of being. Now, I spoke about this earlier as I talked about how my own reflections brought me back to my experiences, previous experiences with 1 years, and how I flooded myself with new beginnings, lots and lots and lots of new projects, big, exciting new projects. And I overlooked the piece of really laying a stable foundation and forgot that sometimes new beginnings aren't always about the sparkle and the like big thing. They're more about laying that groundwork so that something can be built. It's like it's like when Chris and I got a shed for up at camp. We needed to spend so much time laying the foundation for where the shed would be placed and really preparing the ground so that it had a stable place to land. I cannot even begin to tell you how much time and effort and energy we put into that. We had to clear extra space. We had to bring in lots and lots of gravel. Yes, we brought in 22 tons of gravel to lay down this foundation. We also, in part of creating the foundation, was widening our driveway, widening our road, and preparing that so that it could actually get into our space. You know, laying a foundation and a really truly stable one that is going to support something in the long term. It's not a sexy, exciting, flashy period, but it is essential. And when it is done well, whatever is built upon a stable foundation will stand the test of time. I think a lot of us are in the place of really wanting to feel like what we're doing has meaning, it has value, it has significance for ourselves and for others in our lives and in our world. And I think one of the biggest foundations, one of the most important foundations we can put time and energy and effort into, especially during this eclipse window and this year, is into ourselves, really listening, really slowing down, really cultivating a self sense of trust, really letting ourselves honor, celebrate, recognize the gifts that we have to share and really nurture nurture our inner worlds. I'm laughing at myself for using the word really a lot. So letting ourselves take the time to go within, take the time to listen, take the time to lay a solid foundation within ourselves, lay a solid foundation with our work, lay a solid foundation with our next steps and our intentions. So, whatever your intentions are for this year and for this coming cycle of 9 years, letting yourself pause and be present with this foundation, whatever it needs to truly grow and develop in your life, is essential. If it is health and well being, spend time really getting clear on what your body is needing, what will support it. If it is financial, what will lay a solid foundation for you to grow the wealth, the abundance that you are looking to bring forward or experience in your life. If it is relationships, ah, where do things need to shift, change, evolve? Yeah. How can you show up more authentically in your relationships? And that means spending time with you, spending time loving up on you. I think, as we look at all areas of life, as we look at the foundation piece for growing and creating. It's, I think energetically, we're looking at how are we connected to the earth? How are we grounded and rooted in who we are? How are we honoring the vessel that we inhabit? And how are we allowing ourselves to feel stable, supported, nourished, and like we are enough, to trust our enoughness? Yeah. This is a really beautiful and interesting time. There are definitely a lot of challenges and things shaking up in the world. And the call, the deep call, is to go within, to honor, to trust, to harness and cultivate our gifts so they can be shared in truly meaningful ways. Yeah, that is the magic in the world right now. That is the magic that's ready to not only emerge, but to be lived, deeply, deeply lived. I celebrate you, my sacred friend, and I thank you for joining me. I want to invite you to spend a bit of time in this eclipse window, reflecting on your own intentions and how you are honoring you. And I'd love to hear what is really sparking you through this eclipse window. And as you consider the idea of new beginnings in your own world, your own journey, your own path, what is emerging? What foundation are you setting in your life? I want to invite you to share that in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And I want to also invite you to give a like, hit subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and share this video with a friend who you know would also benefit from some of the things shared here. And if you are ready to dive deeper with me, if you'd like to journey within a beautiful, soulful, sacred community, I would love to invite you to join me in the Sanctuary Circle, where we meet twice a month to journey with the crystal and stone allies on the new and the full moon, working with the monthly allies to explore some of the narratives that are showing up and the ways that the stones are helping and supporting us personally. We take guided shamanic journeys and connect with the stones in the spirit realms. It's a really beautiful process and practice, and a beautiful way to sink into community and come together around these different around these different points in the season and in the year. So I will put a link down below, and I'd like to invite you to pop over and check that out. And if it feels like an inspiring yes for you, I'd love for you to say yes. I thank you for joining me. I wish you a beautiful day. And as always, shine brightly. Bye for now.